What's up, everybody? Welcome to some Kamahl, Fist of Krosa. Hope you're ready to go into that forest and find yourself, whatever that means. But yeah, so I wanted to build a commander deck before the new Amonkhet commander started rolling out, and so I played against Kamahl recently, and it was one of those commander. Actually, I played against him as the official commander, but he pops up every once in a while. But every time I see him, I'm always like, man, I want to build him. Like, I need to build him, and I've always loved Kamahl, and one of the reasons why I love Kamahl is I can show you is I have a very, I think you can kind of see the camera right there, but I have a very heavily played version of Kamahl. You can see the little white border on there and on the back side, but I found this at a local game store one time, and it was like $1 in the dollar bin rare, and it was one of those cards that put him back up there in my Omnet deck, but it was one of those cards that like you could tell he's been shuffled 100 times. It's not like he was bent and wrote on and stuff like that. You can just tell he's been in some mono green deck like that got shuffled up and played 100 times after school. So I've always enjoyed that card, and I've just always thought he was just kind of like this weathered like mage, like walking the plains or whatever. So that's why I've always been fascinated by Kamahl, just because of that card. And so I figured, why not? Let's just build him finally. I always talk about it. So here we are. Let's start off with Kamahl. So, 1 green mana, target land becomes a 1/1 creature until end of turn. It's still a land. Then for 5 mana, creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until the end of turn. So, basically what we're doing with Kamahl is it's your standard mono green ramp deck, and we're just looking to, there's a very small land sub theme that we have in the deck, but it's not like overly just straight land. So, but yeah, it's just pretty much mono green ramp deck. I like to build janky decks on my channel, but sometimes I like to build your core fundamental commander decks, and I don't have just a straight mono green ramp deck, and so I felt Kamahl would be a nice little target for it, since I always enjoy him whenever I see him pop up. So, but let's kind of jump into the land package that we're running. We're running Timber Protector in here. We're gonna have no tree folks in here, but other tree folks you control have indestructible. So basically, if they want to destroy some of our forest, or we want to start activating some of our forest with Kamahl's ability, they're going to have indestructible, and it's going to allow us to kind of swing in from there. We're also running the Empress of Beast. For 3 mana, discard 2 cards. All lands target player controls, which most of the time is going to be us, become 3/3 creatures until end of turn. They're still lands. So basically, it's just in there as a way to kind of just activate all of our creatures at once, instead of using the 1 mana from Kamahl each turn to kind of get that up and running. It's not a huge impact creature, but it's one of those things that if you get into it, you can activate it and have like overwhelming stampede or something like that, and kind of win you the game with that, turning them all into extra creatures. We're also running Rude Awakening, which has an entwine cost total of 8. So basically, choose one, untap all lands you control, or until end of turn, lands you control become 2/2 creatures. Or if you pay the entwine cost, you can cast both of them. So we're going to get to untap all of our lands. They become 2/2 creatures. We can swing in. If we floated some like Stampede mana, they're all going to be untapped. We can kind of swing in for lethal from there. We're also running Natural Affinity, instant speed, 3 mana. All lands become 2/2 creatures until end of turn. They're still lands. So it's going to turn our opponent's creatures into lands. It kind of gets into spots of where, let's say they're casting a Damnation, and we have the Timber Protector out there, so we can have our Force Indestructible. You can cast Natural Affinity in response. Everything becomes 2/2 lands, and then we can kind of blow all the lands up, or blow all of our opponent lands up. But mainly, we're looking to, if we're ever going to get into spots where we're going to cast this card, we're mainly going to have, we're going to be able to activate Kamahl's activated ability to push back our through our opponent's creatures that are 2/2s. After the land creature, it would not be a green deck without some ramp spells. Running Ilana War Elves, the Tree Speaker, Elvish Mystic. We're also running the Zuzu Lost but Seeking, play 2 additional lands on the turn. Also running Omnath in here, so it's always cool to find a little home for Omnath. He was my first commander, so he always has a special place in my heart. We're also running Oracle, so play with the top land, play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play an additional land each turn. So kind of a way for us to get some standard, get some ramp, get into some early big creatures early. And we're also running your standard Explosive Vegetation, Cultivate, Rampant Growth, Godoma's Reach. You've seen all those, so I'm not going to cover them. Now, so once we get the ramp up and going, once we have our mana established, our creatures that we're going to really capitalize on, our payoff creatures. We're running Regal Force. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each green creature that you control. We're also running Avenger of Zendikar, put a 0/1 plant token for each land that we control. Then we make a land drop for the turn. We can get an additional counter on there. We're also running Worldbreaker. It has reach. We can cast it for 7 mana, exile target creature, exile target artifact, enchantment, or land, and then we can sack a land and return it back to the graveyard if something happens to it. So pretty good little utility creature. We have Hornet Queen, enters the battlefield. See, this is kind of where you're getting in the spot. We do have Tooth and Nail in here, so Hornet Queen with those 4/4 1/1 green insect tokens is pretty good. So Hornet Queen. We're also running Crater Hoof. It would not be a green deck without Crater Hoof, man. That's pretty much, you add Force and then you add Crater Hoof in there. Enters the battlefield. Creature creatures you control get plus X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power number of creatures you control. Now with Craterhoof and Kamahl, you get into the spots where, let's say you have 4 or 5 creatures out there, you have a little bit of mana left over after you cast Craterhoof, or before you cast it actually, you can activate some of your creatures with Kamahl to turn them into creatures to generate a nice little extra bonus for the rest of your creatures. So that's definitely an interaction you need to be aware of. We're also running Liege of the Tangle. I just love this card. Fun card. Costs a lot, but if you can get it down, have some fun with it. It has Trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may choose any number of target lands you control, put an Awakening counter on them. Then each of those lands is an 8/8 green elemental creature for as long as they have Awakening counters on it. So if we get into Magic Christmas Land, and we've got the, where is he? We got the Temperate Protector out there, so we can have a bunch of 8/8s out there and have fun with that. So pretty fun. Liege of the Tangle. We're also running Pathbreaker Ibex. It is a goat. Need to note that. It is a goat. Whenever it attacks creatures you control, gain trample and get plus X, where X is the greatest power among creatures that you control. So we can get into spots where we get the Pathbreaker down, turn all of our little mana dorks into a bunch of big creatures. At a minimum, whenever the Pathbreaker attacks, everyone's going to get +3/+3 until end of turn, and that's not including if we have a bigger creature out there. So we're also running Thunderfoot Baloth. This is a really good card for the deck. It has Trample, and then it has Lieutenant. So as long as you control your commander, he gets +2/+2, and then other creatures you control get +2/+2 and have Trample. So this is really good to where, if we're going for a tooth and nail, we can grab Craterhoof, we can grab Thunderfoot Baloth. We have Kamahl out there, so everyone's going to get +2/+2 as soon as it hits the battlefield, and they're going to get that Craterhoof bonus. And then if we activate a few other lands, those lands immediately become 3/3s because we have Thunderfoot and Kamahl out there. So really good card for the deck. I'm glad I picked it up. And really, we're running Woodland Bellower. This is just a way to kind of get into a quick little Azusa or something like that. Whenever it enters the battlefield, search your library for a non-legendary green creature card. Well, you can't grab Azusa, but we can grab stuff like Tree Speaker. I misspoke on that one. We convert a mana cost 3 or less, put it on the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. We can also get into spots where we can grab a Turtle Witness off this one too. So we've got the payoff creatures. Let's go to the payoff spells. We're running, well, it's not really a payoff spell, but this allows us to cast some of our bigger spells. We're running Early Harvest. Target player untaps all basic lands he or she controls. This will get into spots where we're running a ton of forests in here. We're probably running about 30 forests in here. So for 3 mana, we can tap all of our basic forests, then untap them and get into spots where we can cast a big creature, or we can just basically just make our land a bunch of creatures and then untap them with Early Harvest and kind of swing in with the Stampede effect activation from Kamahl. We're also running Beacon of Creation. Create a 1/1 green insect creature token for each forest we control. Running so many forests, it's just insane value just to get it down, especially if we top deck it late game or something like that. We're going to get all those green insect tokens out, and if we're looking to win the game with the Craterhoof, we're going to have some really nice bonuses with that. We're also running Overwhelming Stampede. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain trample and get plus X, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Once again, turning those lands into a nice little stampeding effect. We're also running Primeval Bounty. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 3/3 green beast token. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put 3 counters on target creature you control. Then whenever a land enters battlefield, you gain 3 life. So it's not that far-fetched that by turn 4, we're going to have 6 mana. So getting down Primeval Bounty, turning our creature spells into 3/3 beast tokens, getting those counters and getting that life really does matter, especially since they changed the dual commander to 30 life. So pretty good card in the deck. And of course, Genesis Wave. If you're running big green mana, you got to have Genesis Wave in there, so pretty cool. Running Tooth and Nail. Tooth and Nail, it's really good in this deck in that we just have multiple combinations that we want to get into. There's been a couple times where we running against a bunch of flyers, so I can get down Hornet Queen and kind of stabilize from there if we're not really wanting to push the Craterhoof damage all the way through right then and there, or let's say we have Craterhoof in the hand. We're also running Regal Force we can grab, so really good card in the deck. We're also running Howl of the Night Pack. I got it completely obliterated by Howl of the Night Pack in one of my videos like a few weeks ago, so I've been thinking about it. Every time I go to bed, I just remember that Howl of the Night Pack. I'm like, oh man, all those wolf tokens. So we built Mono Green Ramp. Howl of the Night Pack's in here, so that way we can get into those green wolf tokens. And then we're also running Azuri's Predation. For each creature you control, or your opponents control, create a 4/4 beast token. Each of those beasts fight a different one of those creatures. So it's a good way for us to have our own little greens board wipe and then have creatures to kind of show for it. I know one of the videos we eliminated their entire board and they had a beast token to kind of show for it. So really good card for the deck. Other than that, I mean, we've got our standard stuff in here: Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, we got Naturalize, Rampant Growth, Skyshroud Claim. So, I mean, this is the cards that I wanted to highlight. We did the lands, ramp creatures, and payoff spells. So, other than that, we got the basic core building blocks of a mono green ramp deck. But I've got 3 gameplay videos for you, so if you want to head on over there, check them out. Pretty fun videos, definitely had fun, and I hope you're looking forward to more Kamahl videos in the future, because I had a lot of fun recording them, a lot of fun playing them. So, all right, guys, if you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. Thanks.